I want to give you some signs of parental enabling and then some signs of healthy giving to your children. So let's get right to it. Sacrificing or jeopardizing your financial well-being for your children. Again, anytime you're putting yourself in a worse position in order to put somebody else in a better position, right? You can't pay your bills, but you're giving them money to pay their bills. That is an issue. Another sign of parental enabling is having trouble saying no to your children's request for money, right? And this leads to that frequency thing, right? I was talking about the frequency of your giving to somebody and how that can be indicative of whether or not you are enabling someone. Well, if you have trouble saying no, if you have trouble giving somebody a negative response in any case, especially your child, then it is going to be hard to keep money in your pocket. It is going to be hard to manage your money well, and it is likely going to create an enabling relationship. And then repeatedly being taken advantage of financially by your kids. And, what does this look like? This may look like, let's say you have given your kid a credit card in order to use for quote unquote emergencies, right? Or you've given your kids a credit card to, you only can use this much of the balance every month or whatever it may be. And they are constantly pushing the limits with you, right? They're constantly maxing that thing out. They're constantly going and buying stuff that that they can't afford. And that credit card should not be used for. And yet they continuously go out and do those types of irresponsible things financially. And that can show you that you're being taken advantage of. That can show you that you are enabling your child's bad behavior. You are enabling their bad decisions and basically giving them free money to go spend, especially if you're not taking it away from them and cutting them off at the source. You are an issue, right? And that's the thing with enabling behavior that I want you guys to understand is it's not just the person being enabled that is the issue, even though they are 100% the issue, but the enabler is a big issue. And why is this? Because the person who is being enabled, right, they're just going back to the source that is feeding them. And can you blame them, right? Can you blame them for going back to the place that they can get their bad behavior financed? Can you blame them for going back to the place where it seems that the well never runs dry, right? But the enabler has the power. The enabler has the decision to make. And if the enabler is constantly making the decision to give the enablee, right, the enabled individual money, then the enabler is just as at fault, if not more, than the individual who is asking for money or trying to get money from the enabler themselves. Then another sign of parental enabling behavior, and you see this all the time. You see this far, far, far too often. And this can fall into that situation with the credit card, but it can also just be a situation where the parent gives the child some money, is when they lend the money without a clear agreement for repayment, right? Far too often, parents give their kids money and just say, hey, pay me back whenever, right? Or pay me back, it's no interest, no issue, you can just pay me back as you can, whatever. You know how often those things get paid back? Very, very rarely. Rarely do you get paid back when there is no clear agreement. Just think if you had no clear agreement with the bank about your car loan or no clear agreement with the bank about your home loan, right? What's the likelihood that you would pay given that there was no clear agreement? We pay because there are clear agreements. We pay back the money that has been lent to us because we have a clear agreement with the lender and we know that there is a binding contract. We know that there is a binding agreement that if we don't follow up on it, if we don't do what we're supposed to do, then there are consequences. Again, as enablers, people want to keep the consequences from the individuals that they are enabling, right? And so if you are constantly enabling somebody, then lending the money in the first place is probably a really bad idea because you are not going to want to bring the consequences to them, right? You're constantly trying to keep them from their consequences. Then you're not going to want to bring the consequences when they break the agreement, okay? And so these unclear agreements or no agreements at all for repayment or, hey, just pay me back whenever, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal, but right? Those types of things are just telltale signs of enabling behavior. And then another sign of parental enabling is feeling resentment or anger after giving money, right? We've talked before, the Lord loves a cheerful giver, right? And there's a reason that we are not cheerful givers when we are enabling somebody else. And the reason that is because we shouldn't be giving them money, right? We shouldn't be giving money to people who we are consistently enabling. right? That is not loving someone. That is not helping someone. You are just feeding their bad habits. You are feeding their perpetuated cycle of making irresponsible decisions financially. And of course, I would feel angry. Of course, I would feel resentment towards that individual if I just keep giving them money and they keep flushing it down the drain. But like I said, enablers are motivated by keeping consequences away, in this case, from their children or from the people that they are enabling. And so you can still keep the consequences away, but it may really frustrate you in the process and really take a toll on your mental health. And that is not what we want ultimately. Now, what are some signs of healthy giving, right? What are signs of healthy giving to your children? Well, when it is clear to both the parent and the child that the money is a one-time gift with no expectation of repayment, right? If you trust that your children are going to make a good decision with the money that you give them and you give them a one-time gift and there's no expectation for repayment, then that can be a healthy gift because, again, that it is clear here that no repayment is expected. This is not a loan, this is a gift, right? You are giving money away. And it is clear that there is no repayment to be had. And that one-time thing is also very big because we talked about enabling can be a perpetuated cycle. It can be a very frequent occurrence. And that is not what we want to see when we are giving. And of course, it's not going to create a healthy giving environment. And then number 2, the gift will not harm the giver's financial well-being, right? If you are giving to someone, you're giving to your child, right? If it won't hurt your well-being, then it is a sign that you are giving in a healthy manner. All right. We've talked about this, right? We've talked about if we can't pay our bills, then we shouldn't be helping others pay theirs. Okay. Then third, the use of the funds is transparent, meaning, right? Somebody doesn't just come ask you, your child just doesn't say, hey, Dad, can I have $500? Right? No. $500 for what? Okay. Or you're wanting to give them $500 or $1,000 or however much it may be for what, right? There is an intended purpose for the funds because that's one of the biggest deals, right? The biggest deals is the money that you give to people who you are enabling, they are misusing, right? They are using in an irresponsible manner. And so understanding how the gift that you make to your child is going to be used and maybe even seeing it through that they actually use the money for that reason can be extremely important because if they're actually using the money for something that is needed, something that will allow them to flourish, right? And that's the reason that we give because we want others to flourish. And enabling is not going to allow that person to flourish because they never see any consequences. But if you can help somebody who's down on hard times and help them to get back on their feet and it be a one-time thing or a not frequent thing, then it can go a long way and it can be extremely helpful and a healthy form of giving. And then if there is no history of chronic requests for money, right, meaning if we're not frequently asking for money from our parents, right, if we're not constantly going to our parents to go, hey, can I have this much? Can I have this money? Can I have this? Can I have that? Right? If there's none of that, then that is a good sign that we are giving to our children in a healthy way. And it's even more of a good sign that you're giving in a healthy way if you want to give your child the gift and they even try to refuse it, right? If they try to say, no, I don't need that. No, I don't want your help because they want to do things in a self-sufficient way. That is the type of person you want to be giving money to. That is the type of person that is going to use your money in a responsible manner. And so fifth, if the money promotes children's financial health rather than making it easier for them to continue harmful financial behavior, right? We want our giving, especially to our children, to do them good, right? We want them to be grateful for it and we want it to promote their financial health. We want them to be able to walk out of whatever place they are in a better position than before we gave them the money or before we gave them the financial help that we did. And so we should do that in a way that it will be easier to make good decisions in the future and they will be motivated to make good decisions in the future and they should be grateful and thankful for what you have done for them instead of just that becoming an expectation and them just continuing in harmful financial behaviors that can continue to hold them back over the long term.